Today is Monday, June 24th. We'll tell you what investigators have said so far about a tragic shooting in an Arkansas grocery store. Also, what's going on with U.S. weather, from extreme heat to floods to tornadoes. Plus, why the FDA gave menthol e-cigarettes the green light for the first time. How donations at store checkout lines are impacting charities. And a historic comeback in hockey that could end with a Stanley Cup tonight. Those stories and more news to know next. Welcome to The Newsworthy. All the day's news in around 10 minutes. Fast, fair, fun, and on the go. I'm Erica Mandy. Thanks so much for being here. You ready? Let's do this. Unfortunately, we start today with news of a mass shooting that at this point seems to have been a completely random attack. A gunman opened fire inside an Arkansas grocery store. 4 people were killed, including a young nurse who was trying to help another gunshot victim. 9 others were hurt. Police say the shooter fired indiscriminately in the store without any person or place in mind. Then when he got out to the parking lot, he got into a shootout with police, who eventually took him into custody. The suspect is now facing capital murder charges and could face the death penalty. The U.S. Supreme Court weighed in on another high-profile gun rights case. In an 8-1 decision, the justices upheld the federal law that says anyone who's under a restraining order for domestic violence cannot own guns. Most of them explain that there's a solid history of disarming people who pose an immediate threat to someone else's safety. Only Justice Clarence Thomas disagreed, saying the government should only be able to take away someone's right to guns after they've been convicted of a felony, not on the basis of a restraining order. Either way, the Justice Department is applauding the decision, saying it will help protect the families of dangerous people. The Supreme Court is back on the bench this week to release more decisions, though. Some of the most anticipated ones, expected soon, address whether former President Trump can be prosecuted, as well as abortion, the opioid crisis, homelessness, and free speech on social media. So stay tuned. The record-setting heat wave that gripped much of the East Coast all last week is still impacting Americans in much of the country. Just yesterday, more historically high temperatures were recorded in parts of New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and Washington, D.C. Today, heat advisories are still in effect, though they have shifted a little to the west. That means there's a bit of relief coming for New England, but things are getting worse for the Midwest and parts of the West Coast. Americans who are seeing relief are being told to soak it up now because July is just around the corner, and that's typically the hottest month of the year for the U.S. And this year likely will be no different. In fact, the National Weather Service says it expects nearly the entire continental U.S. to experience above-average temperatures next month. Heat isn't the only severe weather Americans are dealing with right now. There's also been catastrophic flooding in the upper Midwest, mostly in Iowa and South Dakota. Though there's also been areas impacted in Illinois, Minnesota, Wisconsin, and Nebraska. Some rivers reached record high levels. Hundreds of people have had to be rescued, and at least one person died. In one Iowa town, a levee broke, which led to thousands of people frantically evacuating in the middle of the night. Now, drone footage shows homes and other buildings almost completely underwater, with only their roofs peeking out. Storms also caused at least one large tornado in southeast Wisconsin, causing significant damage to homes, businesses, and at least one church. Unfortunately, the storm threat continues today, which could bring more flash flooding to some of the hardest-hit areas. In Florida, the biggest weather concern has been rough surf. 6 vacationers died off the coast of Florida over the course of just 2 days this weekend. The threat of rip currents was considered high, with either yellow or red flags flying on the beaches. And those conditions could continue. So the National Weather Service is reminding beachgoers to always swim near the lifeguards and be aware of the ocean conditions. Also, if you do get caught in a rip current, the advice is don't swim against the outgoing force of water. Instead, try to stay parallel to the shoreline until you're out of the current, then head safely back to land. Now to a scary story with a happy ending. A 4-year-old boy was on a camping trip with his family at a lake near Fresno, California, when he went missing. And he stayed missing for nearly 24 hours. Nearly 70 rescuers, dogs, and helicopters went out looking for him in the woods. And they worried since there's a lot of rough terrain out there, as well as bears, snakes, and big cats. But thankfully, as searchers were calling out for the boy, they heard him call back and eventually found him sitting under a tree. He was tired and hungry, but in good condition, and has since been reunited with his parents. More news is coming up, but first, thank you to our sponsor, SKIMS. You all know that I've been wearing and loving Skims for a while, and now that the weather is warmer, I have to tell you that they have the best fitting tees. There is a style for everyone, and each style can be worn in so many different ways. I reach for my cotton jersey t-shirt almost every day now because, 1, the fit is perfect, 2, the fabric is super smooth, soft, and really comfortable, and 3, it's versatile. It looks great whether I'm dressing it way down with joggers and sneakers or throwing on a blazer, jewelry, and heels for a fancy night out. I also love my Fits Everybody tee in the color onyx, just like the long sleeve bodysuit I was obsessed with. I had to get the t-shirt version, and I can wear it all the time this summer. Skims t-shirts are truly wardrobe staples for me now, so shop the Skims T-Shirt Shop at skims.com. Now available in sizes extra, extra small to 4X. And if you haven't yet, be sure to let them know that I sent you. After you place your order, select podcast in the survey and select my show in the drop-down menu that follows. Okay, now back to the news. The FDA made a decision that surprised a lot of health experts. It authorized menthol-flavored e-cigarettes for adults, made by the brand Enjoy. This is the first time the federal health agency has allowed a non-tobacco-flavored vape on the market. The reasoning? The FDA says the products can be less harmful than traditional smoking and might help smokers quit. Still, the agency made it clear just because it authorized the e-cigarettes doesn't mean it endorses them, since all tobacco products can be harmful and potentially addictive. Still, many public health advocates are pushing back, saying the decision goes against the FDA's own research that's found flavored e-cigarettes appeal to kids and have fueled a youth vaping epidemic. For now, it's just 4 menthol vapes from Enjoy that are allowed to be sold. The FDA says it will review other flavored e-cigarette applications on a case-by-case basis. There's a new warning over portable chargers sold at Costco. 3 models of the My Charge Power Hub were recalled because they can overheat during charging. The Consumer Product Safety Commission says at least a couple of times they've overheated so much that they caused house fires, leading to property damage. And in other cases, the charges melted, burned, exploded, or sparked. If you do have one, you're asked to stop using it and to contact the company for a free replacement. But don't just throw it in the trash. The recall notice says to be safe, check to see what the rules are where you live for disposing of defective lithium batteries. Another recall we want to mention involves Vitamix blenders. More than 500,000 of them are now flagged because dozens of people have reported getting cut since the containers can separate from the blade base, leaving the sharp pieces exposed. They were sold at Costco, Best Buy, Macy's, Target, Walmart, Amazon, QVC, and many other stores. So if you have one of the recalled models, you can contact Vitamix for a free repair kit. We have more information about both of these recalls, including the exact model numbers, in today's episode notes. The top golfer in the world solidified his spot as number 1 at the Travelers Championship over the weekend. Scottie Scheffler is now the first player in PGA Tour history to grab 6 wins in a single season before July, since golf legend Arnold Palmer did it in 1962. There was a little bit of chaos right before his victory, though. On the final hole, climate protesters stormed the 18th green while the leaders were lining up their putts. They sprayed smoke and powder and delayed the finish by about 5 minutes before police officers escorted them away. Also in sports, former college basketball rivals Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese met up again when the Indiana Fever played the Chicago Sky yesterday. And that rookie rivalry brought in a lot of interest, making it the most expensive WNBA game ever. The average ticket price was about $270, but the best seats were going for more than $9,000. The next big sporting event is happening tonight. The Edmonton Oilers and the Florida Panthers are playing Game 7 of the Stanley Cup Final, meaning whoever wins will be this year's champion. And if the Oilers end up winning, it will be history-making. They actually lost the first 3 games of the series, with the Panthers just 1 win away from victory. But then they pulled off an epic comeback, winning the next 3 games. So if they win tonight, they'll be only the second team in NHL history to rebound from a 0-3 deficit to win the Stanley Cup. You can watch the big game tonight at 7 p.m. Eastern on ABC. Inside Out 2 is now the highest-grossing movie of the year, and it's only been out for 2 weekends so far. The Pixar sequel has already brought in more than $724 million. Word of mouth could have a lot to do with its success, since both critics and audiences have been giving the animated movie glowing reviews. But most family-friendly movies have actually been a box office bright spot lately. And if the hype continues, Inside Out 2 is expected to become the first movie since Barbie to cross $1 billion worldwide. Movie theaters are hoping this is just a sign of even more success to come. The second Quiet Place movie is coming out next weekend, followed by the 4th Despicable Me movie on July 3rd, and then Deadpool and Wolverine at the end of next month. That's it for the main news, so now it's time for Money Monday, when we talk about one interesting money-related news story. But first, I want to take a moment to talk about our sponsor, Green Chef. Okay, if the beginning of summer has you feeling farmer's market vibes like me, but you don't always have the time to do all your own shopping and planning and cooking, look no further than the #1 meal kit for eating well, Green Chef. It is the first certified organic meal kit company that brings the flavors of the farmer's market to you with fresh, seasonal, organic produce in every box, plus premium proteins like organic eggs, sustainably sourced seafood, and antibiotic and hormone-free chicken, all delivered right to your door. And you get to decide what lifestyle you like, with recipe options for either Mediterranean or plant-based or gluten-free, protein-packed, gut health, and more. Plus, did you know Green Chef is owned by HelloFresh? And with a wider array of meal plans to choose from, there is something for everyone. And trust me, if I can follow these recipes and make delicious meals, you can too. I love that I can make these on my own when we're really tight on time, or some nights we like to make it a whole family experience, with my son helping to rinse some of the produce and mix things together, and my husband and I tackling the rest. Go to greenchef.com/newsworthy50 and you can use that code newsworthy50 to get 50% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. Again, go to greenchef.com/newsworthy50 and use that code newsworthy50 to get 50% off plus 20% off your next 2 months. Now, back to Money Monday. You know how when you check out at a store, you're often asked if you'd like to donate to charity? Or sometimes it's the pin pad asking you to round up your purchase total for a good cause? Well, it turns out all that checkout charity has been adding up and doing a lot of good. For example, Domino's Pizza recently announced it's on track to be able to donate $174 million to St. Jude Children's Research Hospital, all from its longstanding Roundup campaign. REI says it raised about $2.2 million last year to help make outdoor spaces more inclusive. And PetSmart Charities is considered the largest grant maker for animal welfare causes, with more than 80% of its cash donations coming through the pin pad at checkout. Now, you may have seen some claims on social media lately about how stores only use the customers' donations at checkout to lower their tax expenses. But tax experts say that's not true. Retailers can only write off their own charitable donations, not the money their customers give. On the other hand, if you want to claim checkout charity on your taxes, you can. Just make sure you save your receipts. Well, thank you so much for listening and starting your week with us. Be sure to follow or subscribe to the Newsworthy podcast in your favorite podcast app to get new episodes every day for free. We'll be back to keep you up to date on the news you need to know tomorrow. For now, have a great day.